Welcome to The Story Tinker, a Webtoons and Witcher podcast for superfans with scene-by-scene analysis. Featuring sharp co-hosts for a fuller picture, we dive deep into character psychology, relationships, and theories. We'd love it if you could like, subscribe, comment, and rate us on all podcast platforms and social media. For bonus content, you can support The Story Tinker on Patreon. Let's begin. Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 138. Unfair Ultimatum, and we are with Fwoot.
Hello.
Yes, and this is, as you might have guessed, a Fwoot-centric episode. It's not a Fwoot-centric episode, but it's Fwoot-appropriate episode.
Yeah, I love this episode. It's like the new 130 for me.
Just like us 𝗪𝗁𝗏𝗄𝗧 have like our like 92, and I forgot to write the other one, but the cave one, you know.
Yeah, you guys have 93, 125. I have 130 and 138. They are actually, if you look inside like my chest, where a heart should be is actually these two episodes. They keep me alive.
Oh,
They are the air I breathe.
awesome.
But yeah, this episode, it makes me think about like everything that I've said about 𝗪𝗏𝗡 and like Redcliff on the podcast, and I'm so content because like called it.
Yes, we're gonna get into it, but yeah, that was what I thought when I read it too, because I was like, oh my god, like all right.
Sorry, I have to say this because I've been thinking about this comparison. It's like I feel like Thanos looking over a grateful universe. Anyway,
yeah, it's good to be vindicated. You're like, yes,
yeah,
yep.
Yeah. So, would you like to narrate?
If you want to, feel free. This is your,
Sure.
your fun time.
Will do. Okay, so we start off with Hestia in her new fit. She has this really pretty laurel. I don't know if we talked about it last time, but she's swinging around all this fire. And Neyra is watching on. And this is the first time that Neyra has actually seen Bella perform. We get a very suspicious shot that is probably from Neyra's point of view.
I know.
Neyra, I see you. I see you, Neyra. It's just a very flattering image of Bella's chest and her hips and the legs attached to those hips.
I think that's the most like, is it the most sexualized we've seen in PH? I don't know, because we've seen Kieran without a shirt, but this is like the gyration.
Yeah,
like
this is like the most sensual, I think. Because Kieran, like, I think Kieran takes off his shirt,
right,
and it's just generally treated as the sexiest thing to ever exist.
Well, I think we interpret it that way, but the way that she draws it, it's just like,
he's literally just there taking off his shirt. But here we have like it's like, I can't remember the word. It's intentional. There we go. It's intentional, right? I mean, we have gotten some ab shots of Kieran, but also he was like hella bruised, so like, mixed messages.
Yeah,
Kieran really needs to see a doctor more often. But yeah, this is kind of new for Purple Hyacinth. And I know I'm not one who I'm not the kind of person who's like terribly fond of fan service, but I understand Neyra in this moment.
Right. Listen, I mean, it's part of human life. Right.
Yeah, and so Bella, she finishes her performance. The audience is clapping her applause. There's like one applause and then a bunch of claps. She bows. You can see that she's sweating, and she gulps.
Like a little moment of privacy where like her head is bent and no one sees her, and she kind of takes a moment to like, you can see her composure coming down when she's bowed and like no one sees her expression, and then she like puts it right, puts her smile back up when she goes back up.
And suddenly, for me, like reading this, it's like suddenly her like sweat is not just from the performance, right, but also what she knows is about to happen, because she knows that Redcliff saw her stumble a bit,
Yeah.
which is from the last episode.
I also wondered if the fire was real fire and if it was like hot, or I don't know when cold fire was invented in PH world, but
I think it's real fire.
Mhm.
Pretty sure. Um, but yeah, so she goes back off stage and Neyra says to Redcliffe, "That was absolutely impressive. All of your artists are incredible." And Redcliffe responds, "Thank you. You are seeing some of the best tonight." And then he adds, "Especially Hestia. Isn't she tremendously exquisite?" And we get this really creepy shot of his face. I think
Such
all
a
shots of
jerk.
his face are creepy, but this one, like the added level of, oh, stay away from me, like 10 feet
Mhm.
away.
I know.
Um,
He looks like an alligator. I will say he started out very handsome and he's become progressively less handsome. I think I don't know if Soph is doing it on purpose because like we can't like him too much, but I'm glad. It makes me I'm happy that he's losing his attractiveness.
yeah, he needs to get humbled a bit, in my opinion.
Cut off his
So
hair.
uh Neyra responds, "She is very beautiful indeed." And okay, look, I know Lauren shouldn't be here, and it's good that she's not here, but and we kind of already know that Neyra's telling the truth, but it would be kind of cool if we could just pop Lauren in there, just so we could get the
Yeah.
confirmation,
Yeah.
so we can like, and I know we already know it, but just, I don't know, seeing that text in black with Lauren there,
Right.
you
Yeah,
know.
I'm 100% convinced that she really thinks she's beautiful. Like,
Yeah, she totally thinks Bella's pretty, but I just, the extra level.
hmm.
Lauren's hiding in the walls, maybe. Um, and Redcliffe continues saying, "One of the first and most loyal members of my circus." There's an irony there.
Right. He doesn't, he's so oblivious. He can't recognize when people, well, I mean, we will see later, like there was a fair bit of antagonism between Bella and him. And he is so single-minded and like not in tune to other people's emotions. He doesn't, or rather, he doesn't care. He's both. He does, I don't think he perceives them well. And he also, because he doesn't care. Like he's like, oh, she's loyal. Oh my God, like, dude, you don't recognize what's simmering under the surface at all. He's
Really?
like, hmm?
Because I thought that I thought this was like an intentional jab. Like he's fully aware. Because to be able
Oh,
to like
okay. Interesting.
manipulate someone like the way that he has with Bella, he has to
Uh,
be like hyper aware of everything that she's like up to, right? He knows about Neyra and that relationship,
right.
right? And he's able to like kind of read her like a book, right? We look at episode 124. Um, and he very much is kind of, they show this in how the episode is composed, in
Mm.
a sense, how he kind of like stands above her and his shadow is on her, and it's to say that he holds a lot of power over her, and to do that he has to understand her very well.
I think, let's say, okay, to a certain extent, right? Like maybe when she was younger and the whole her search for power, her need for power and security, I think that he understood. But I do think that he has overestimated how loyal she is to him. And that will come back to bite him in the face. Oh, I
Hmm.
think, but I could totally see how you read it both ways. Like he's either being sarcastic or
Yeah,
he's being
I see.
loyal,
Yeah,
but
I see what you mean. I I don't know. I feel like his experiences with the leader would make him more wary of the people around him, but
but
again,
look what
he has so
happened.
much confidence in Bella,
Yeah,
right? Even though
he
Bella
did
is going against him. So yeah, I
he
see
did
what
the
you
same thing
mean.
with the leader. The leader was like ready to kill him basically. And then he tells Bella, "Oh, I'm totally fine." I think he's very overconfident in general about his
Yeah.
like status.
Huh. Yeah, and he didn't expect when the leader like completely was like, "Okay, Seven, do your thing," and he got beat up for it. So yeah, yeah. Huh. The next thing he says is, "I found her starving on the streets when she was 14." That took me back. Like,
Yeah.
I was not expecting Bella to be 29. I thought he found her when she was like 8.
Yeah.
In my
Totally.
mind,
She looked
she
much
is
younger in
9.
that picture. Yeah.
Sorry?
She looked young, very young in the picture with the shoes.
Yeah. Like she did not look older than Laura. Um, but I personally can't comprehend Bella and Kieran be having a 5-year age gap. or maybe it's 4-year age gap since Karen's birthday kind of just happened in the comic. So for personal
4.5.
reasons, in my personal Purple Hyacinth canon, they are the same age, and he found her when she was like 9.
Well, there we go with the facts out the window.
Yeah. Out the window when it no longer suits my head canons, okay? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm glad we
I'm
can
fine with
agree.
Bella being I have no problem with her being whatever age she is.
Yeah. Also, Neyra's like 23.
Wait, do we know her
So,
age for sure?
Stefan said that Neyra was Will's age.
Oh,
So a lot of
okay.
people have just taken that as she's 23. And I
Mhm.
don't know, they met when Neyra was 18, so that would have made Bella 24. And
Okay.
that's kind of weird to me. So I'm just giving 1 year age gap between them.
I was 20 when I met my husband, and he was 27 and a half, and
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. Age
Yeah,
gaps
but like
do
to
that
me,
for
an
a reason.
18-year-old is still like a high schooler, right? So I'm like, ooh, high schooler versus college student, you
I
know?
guess,
As you get older, age gaps like
it makes,
that, it's
yeah, no
whatever.
difference.
But
Yeah.
also, that is just straight out of being a minor. So,
Well,
yeah.
you can rest assured they probably took a while to develop their relationship. So,
Yeah.
as you see, Bella
They
was
had
not
3
so
years.
excited
They had
about
3 years.
Darcy at first.
Um, we learn actually, as Redcliff continues, we learn a bit more about Bella's father, which means that gives Bella another one-up on Kieran's backstory on what we know about Bella and her family.
Right. We know everything
Redcliffe
about his
says
parents.
her abusive father would force her to sell matches he'd stolen from the factory he worked at and use the money to feed his alcoholism. So we kind of knew about the matches, and we knew about the money probably being used to feed an alcohol addiction. Um, but we did not know that it was the matches were actually stolen from a factory.
Yeah, sleazy guy all around.
Yeah. It does make me kind of curious because Purple Hyacinth has tried or is trying right now to do like a very much like narrative about how about like the war, right? On different classes in a sense.
Mm.
Um, it's the PS and the Snapdragon who are advocates, but one is a violent advocate, and one is um a peaceful advocate, and then we have the Royals who are just overall kind of shitty. But like maybe it's just because like we live in America, so the opioid crisis is very relevant here.
Hmm.
But this kind of just reminds me of uh, addiction crises, like the opioid crisis, and how do we treat people who suffer with uh,
Alcohol.
addiction?
Right.
You know, because to me at least, they're often victims, and it doesn't mean that they still can't hurt other people, but rehab is something that I think needs more funding in general, and overall like reaching out to people who do suffer with addiction. So it does, I do wonder if there will be any nuance with Bella's father moving forward, because given his situation, I think from what we can infer, missing mother, um, they lived in 𝗙𝗃𝗃𝗃. It could have been that, you know, because they fell.
Go back.
You're good. Okay, so like from what we can infer, missing mother figure or missing parental figure, and they live in 𝗙𝗃𝗃𝗃, so maybe their family just fell in hard times. I feel like that would make
Mm.
Bella's father very susceptible to potentially, uh, developing an addiction because, maybe in hard times he turned to alcohol. And so I do wonder if there will be nuance in that. And we have thrown out the idea that uh, Bella may not actually kill her father, or may not have
Yeah,
actually killed him, because we don't actually see
that was my
her
idea.
kill him. Yeah. Um, and so I do wonder if maybe it's kind of like a moment where Bella's like, I can end this cycle of hurting people, right?
Mm.
Or maybe not. Sorry, that's more like with Redcliffe, but maybe Bella in that moment realizes that, like, this isn't worth it.
Maybe that would be a very interesting, mature moment for her.
And I would love if she hasn't actually killed her bio father. I would love to see that get tied into her potentially sparing Redcliffe. You know, this isn't worth it.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. By the way, I would just say, I mean, I don't have so much personal experience with people with addiction, thank God. But yeah, some other people around me have, and I don't know if addiction would mean, you know, correlate with abuse. I think maybe with neglect.
Yeah.
But you know, I would say the fact that her father was abusive was more a function of his personality rather than his addiction. Just my guess.
Yeah.
I mean, neglect obviously is a form of abuse, but if people with addiction, I can see them very easily going into neglect. Whereas this sounds like it was more active abuse.
Yeah, I do agree with that. It's just, I think the mention of addiction, and then we take into account, you know, some of the themes with Purple Hyacinth in class, and how addiction has been used to exploit lower income people, at least, you know, in America with the opioid crisis. And so that connection for me just makes me wonder a lot about Bella, and if that was intentional within Purple Hyacinth. But again, it could just be the curtains are just blue.
Yeah, I think I don't think he's going to really make a big difference in this comic. I think he's, you know, a past figure in her life. But yeah, I think there's already a lot of themes, and if they add more, it's going to be very difficult for them to juggle them all.
Yeah. I guess it's just thematic. I feel like it could be good thematic consistency, but I do agree with you. I think he's pretty irrelevant at this point, unless we do get the reveal that she didn't actually kill him, but that's probably a few episodes, if not a season down the road.
Yeah.
Redcliffe continues saying she probably would have ended up a harlot like her mother. Oh, so we do know about her mom. Forgot about this. She probably would have ended up a harlot like her mother had I not given her a second chance at life. And Neyra says, that's admirable of you. And she thinks to herself, Bella always refused to give me details about her past. Why is he telling me this?
Oh, which just, you know, when I read that, it's like, you really, you know, Bella wants to be in a position of power. She doesn't want to be pitied. She didn't want to be the, you know, the pity case, the victim. You know, what she didn't, this is Darcy, like she's found someone that at some point she grew to like and wanted to, you know, to be admired. And she didn't want to be like the recipient of pity. And it makes a lot of sense that she didn't tell her about her past.
Yeah. It makes me want more 𝗪𝗆𝗄𝗃 backstories, flashbacks, and like they do give us some of that in this episode, but it's curious how Bella really laid off on the details. I think Neyra probably did a background check on Bella at some point, like we saw Kieran do with Lauren. It would make sense for how she knew that Bella was in the circus. And it seems like she probably had to do her own research since she says Bella refused to give her details. Neyra says, though I've always wondered why you were the only one to have gotten a nobility title amongst the founding members of the Circus Royale. Redcliffe says, oh, I can assure you that though they may not have been granted a rank in polite society, I've always given them the best wage and living conditions that I could. Of course, in exchange for unquestionable loyalty and devotion to the circus.
Like the first part is nice, and the second part is like, oh my God, I roll.
What in the feudalism is this?
Right? Like you own these people? Like it's a job. I mean, okay, maybe it's like more like a family, like I get the sense, but you know,
mafia family.
The rest of the circus members, like, you know, every time we've seen them, they all seem to be getting along pretty well, and like they seem to joke around. They seem very close, so that's good. But like Redcliffe, like you don't own people. Seriously.
Maybe, I mean, I guess if he's telling the truth, at least he does pay them. Well, he said the best wage and living conditions, but I don't know. Not Neyra. Bella's trailer is kind of sad. It's literally like a couch and a desk. We haven't.
It was very nice. I had like a rug.
It's
also
tiny.
It's a trailer. You move around. Like that's how circus people live.
Yeah.
I'm saying like we don't know if she doesn't have another residence. This is like how they travel. It was a nice.
Yeah.
I like that trailer. Also, I don't know. I don't think I've mentioned it before. Me and my husband are very into like tiny houses or RVs, so like campers. So like that's our plan. One day we're like we want to be wealthy enough to afford it one day and like live in a tiny house like that.
Really, I feel like I would go insane in like a really tiny house. I need space to move.
Yeah. Anyway, that's probably why I did the trailer too. But
Redcliff adds on, it is no light occupation. Once you join the circus, your blood, sweat, and tears belong to the circus. Dude, this is creepy.
It's so poetic. It's like, oh, it's like dramatic. It's like dramatic 1800s romanticism. Oh my
God. Neyra says, of course, how generous of you, Viscount. You are an example to follow.
She knows what to say, this girl. She's like,
yeah, she's
smooth talker.
She's just like reading lines from a script, I swear. Neyra thinks herself, oh, I just realized we're getting Neyra POV. This is good. This is good. I knew something was wrong with him since Bella first told me about him, but she wouldn't have warned me for nothing. He's dangerous, and I'm starting to guess why. And then and we see Neyra's hand, and then Redcliff touches it. I've never felt so bad for her. Like she wasn't even wearing gloves this time to protect her.
Half glove, yeah. He's so gross. Ugh.
I would throw up.
He's like a predator. He really is. Ew. Ugh.
Stay away, my guy. And Neyra turns to look over at him, and he says, "Thank you, milady. You flatter me." And then
Oh my god. I mean, his earrings are very cool, I will say, but jeez, guy, he's gross.
He's like, I don't know. He's like Leonardo DiCaprio. Now that Bella is not actually 25 and she's 29, he has to go to 23-year-old Neyra.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, that was a little uncalled.
It was funny though. Oh, please, you can make fun of Leonardo DiCaprio all you want.
Anyways, stay away. Oh my god, I wish it's times like these where I wish I could just jump into Purple Hyacinth and just like wreck him. I want to punch this man. And we see Bella. We see Bella looking at them from the curtains, and she takes a sharp breath, and she looks very concerned. Me too, Bella. This is how I'm feeling. And Neyra excuses herself and says, "Please excuse me, I just need to use the bathroom." And
always a great excuse. Gosh,
yeah,
gotta go. So sorry. It's not because you just like touched me without asking.
Just girly things happening. You wouldn't want to know. And we see her going down the hallway, and then we get a flashback to her talking to 𝗪𝗲𝗃. Wait, hold on. I have a thought, but we have to get through this flashback first.
Okay.
And 𝗪𝗲𝗃 says, "I've made arrangements to ensure you will be in the same lodge as Viscount Redcliffe the night of the premiere. Make sure."
Oh, that's the box. I didn't know what you meant by lodge first, but yeah.
Make sure to get yourself invited to his manor. While you're there, follow his every move and who he speaks to. Record him if you are able to. I want to know everything that I can about him. And Neyra looks down and says, "Of course, I will not disappoint you, my queen." And sorry, I just had to take a moment to process this name. 𝗪𝗲𝗃 says, "I know, my little hound. It is in your interest not to." And I'm like, what? I forgot this happened. There's so much to unpack here. First of all, the nickname.
I think what she's meaning because like a hunting hound.
Like a detective.
Yeah, but it's still.
Yeah, it's my little hound. Girl, just call her Sherlock.
Right.
Or Loon at this point.
I'm curious, like how did Darcy end up doing this for the queen, right? Because Darcy is a noble woman, right? So like it's not like it's like some like what did she hold over her? Or how did she get her to do this? Like does Darcy want to do this? Did Darcy sign up so that she could get insider information? Like what but she then said it's in your interest not to. What does that mean? what does she know? What is she trying to, like, what's their connection? Like, there's something behind it.
Yeah. Well, we've known that Neyra has been doing spy work since before she met Bella. Whether it's spy work for the Queen, I'm not entirely sure, but perhaps it does make me think that maybe the interest that Elizabeth mentions is not necessarily pertaining to Bella, because if Neyra was doing spy work for the Queen for the last 5 years, she would have started before she knew Bella, so that was probably not originally part
I
of
didn't think
that
it meant Bella. I
deal.
feel like Darcy wouldn't tell the Queen about Bella. Not if she was forced to, or let the Queen found out on her own. I think Darcy's smart enough not to trust the Queen, with like her love life.
But I do think maybe it has something to do with how we've seen reporters and like journalists go missing or get jailed. But that was during Edward's rule, and now it's Philip. But Elizabeth is a bit of an Edward sympathizer, so I would not be totally surprised if she does use some of those punishment tactics.
Yeah, I think there's like a plot thing behind it. I think that we're gonna find out later why Darcy's working with her. What's like? There's something more there.
I wish we could get like a whole spin-off on just Darcy and Bella. The things I would do in an alternate universe.
Yeah.
And we see Neyra in the present now, and she thinks to herself, she still trusts me, but if she knew, both my head and Dawkins would be rolling. So that's, I think she started working for the Queen because she has some alliance with Dawkins. As we've seen, they've talked before with Tristan.
Yeah, I don't know. We don't know which came first, right?
Yeah. But I did see some people say that this might mean that Dawkins is like he's dead person from 111. I would hope not.
Me too.
Because I want Tristan and Dawkins to grow old together. And I mean, I guess Lauren does have a lot of father figures. Maybe she does need to cut them down. But
no.
Just not Dawkins, please. He's like my emotional support character in the like he's a very stable character that I can rely on, and sometimes accused of being the leader.
Right.
But otherwise, he's like a constant, and he just grew out his beard. So I hope he stays safe.
Well, someone's got to be dead, so someone.
I hope it's Redcliff.
Yeah, that'd be
yeah. So Neyra enters this room, and we can see that there's a piano with literally a painting on the underside of that, like
I've actually seen some.
I don't know what they're called, but on that top thing, and I'm like, that's fancy.
Yeah, and Yola and I went to, I can't remember where, our 10th anniversary. We're in, I think it was in not Brussels, the other side, Antwerp. They had a whole museum. It was like used to be a meat factory or something, and they had a whole collection of pianos, and I remember a bunch of illustrated pianos. It's really pretty.
Oh wow. Neyra enters the conference room, and she goes to pick up her tape recorder behind the painting, and she is encountered by
a guy in a Roman toga.
Is that Zephyr, or it's either Zephyr or Orpheus? And he asks her, "May I help you, milady?" And she just freezes, like her face.
Yeah, really funny.
I know memes could be made out of this, and she's holding her purse, which she has put the tape recorder into.
Thank God.
And she turns around. Right? She turns around and says, "It really is a gorgeous painting." Sorry, I couldn't help.
I am so into art, and she just makes up some BS about it.
I couldn't help but admire it.
What a wonderful 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝐺ine. He's like, 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝐺ine. Who's that? She's like, don't worry about it.
And then it cuts, and we see Redcliff and Bella talking in Redcliff's office, and he says, stomping. You almost tripped on stage in front of my guests. Mediocre performances don't have their place in my show.
Oh my God.
He's really stomping.
I know he stomped twice.
And he continues saying, did the charming 𝗪𝗪𝗀?
Demoiselle.
Did the charming 𝗪𝗪𝗀 at my side distract you? At my side. Oh, creepy.
So possessive.
Perhaps brought back memories. I like how that line about the demoiselle, yeah, is a reference to Neyra's first episode, dazzling demoiselle.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute. I didn't remember that. Nice.
I think it's dazzling. Don't fact check me. Actually, maybe fact check me.
Okay, let's go back.
And Bella's like, what do you want? I've already burned bridges with her. And Redcliffe's like, did you now? Because you still seem very disturbed by her. Damn, he's coming out with the receipts on Bella.
Little belladonna. Sorry, I'm still looking for that episode. So
86.
What?
It's 86.
Oh.
And Bella's like, I ended everything with her 2 years ago, as you wanted. So yeah, it was Redcliffe. As Neyra actually suspected. She's like, I know it was Redcliffe that that made you leave. And Redcliffe puts his hand down. Is it put your foot down or put your hand down?
Meaning when you
when you're like over with it.
Oh, well, you put your foot down, it means you're like, hey,
okay. Yeah. Well, he puts his hand down, not necessarily his foot, because he's still stomping, but he puts his hand down and he says, no need to be so defensive, dear. I'm not gonna hurt her. And he gets close to Bella, who is looking very standoffish and glaring at him. And he says, unless her existence keeps distracting you more than it should, or if she dares to stick her nose in matters that do not concern her.
Yikes. Whoops.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And Bella's like, what do you mean? And Redcliffe waves it off and he's like, Zephyr. Okay, so it was Zephyr. Zephyr saw her wandering around the salon alone earlier. Haven't quite figured out why, but I don't believe she was lost.
Yeah, well, he ain't stupid, I'll give you that.
Oh, the next line. Perhaps next time she'll be so lost that no one will ever find her again.
What the hell's wrong with him?
Oh my god. Okay, death threats. Death threats.
And he's a dummy. Like, he's like, does he not realize that like Bella still loves her and he threatened to kill the one she loves, she will go crazy? Like, he has no concept that maybe somebody will finally be disloyal to him. He's like, no, they are so loyal to me, they love me forever and ever. Like, he's so oblivious in some ways because he's a narcissist, I think, and he can't fathom other people's emotions properly.
He pulls no bitches and no one will ever love him. He probably paid Laura Montgomery off. What even happened to her? I'm like, where is she?
Who?
But
Montgomery. I didn't even hear that part.
Oh, Laura Montgomery. She was his
the
opera. And Bella glares at him and she's like, you wouldn't. And he gets really close to her and he pats her face and her cheek. He doesn't like put his palm right in the middle of smack dab of her face, but like he pats her and he's like, that only depends on your good behavior.
He's so gross.
Weird. And then Bella, still glaring at him, says, is there anything else? And he says, no, dearie, you may go. And Bella storms out of there and slams the door. And she is just speed walking down the hallway. She looks really good.
She does. And Redcliffe is so gross.
Yeah, she is very close to tears. Like,
we see them like in her eyes.
Yeah, her eyes are watering up. And we get, in my opinion, the best sequence of 3 panels to ever exist in Purple Hyacinth. And it is Bella and Neyra sitting on top of what is probably Bella's trailer. Bella's in very casual clothes. She's actually, she's wearing like a loose shirt, some loose pants. Neyra's in her skirt and her loose shirt. And, it's either sunset or sunrise, and Neyra is pointing out probably the stars to her, as we can see some white flecks. And they're just illuminated by this gorgeous pink lighting against this like really light blue sky. And as Neyra is just wistfully staring at the pink clouds and the sky above them. Bella is watching her, and Neyra does not see her. She's just oblivious to Bella admiring her in this moment.
Very cute.
And it is some of the most serene, if not the most serene, we've ever seen Bella before, and the most content. And yeah, then we cut to evening, and Neyra is sleeping inside of the trailer, and Bella is standing over her, which completes the quadrinity of PH ships, where one of them is unconscious and the other one is standing, or in the other one's by the side. Darcy didn't even have to get injured. They didn't have to end up in the hospital for this to happen or get exploded in a factory. They stay winning. Except they're about to break up. So
Will and Kim, Kieran and Lauren, Lila and Lucas, and this,
yeah, the holy quadrinity. And Bella does a little Debbie Ryan moment and puts some hair behind her ear, and we can only see really her hand, her ear, and a bit in her eye. And she leans down and kisses Neyra's forehead, which might be the first kiss we've gotten Purple Hyacinth. Except for maybe the Redcliff hand kiss. But I'm disqualifying that because it's Redcliff.
Right. Also, it's not romantic. It's not a romantic kiss. Yeah. It's like a cordial kiss.
And Neyra's like her.
No, didn't Will kiss? No. Kieran, I suspected very strongly that he kissed the top of Lauren's head in the circus when he was hugging her. It looked like he kissed her.
Oh, I don't know.
Like the top of her head. And didn't Will do that to Kim also when she was like on him? Or did I just imagine that?
I don't think like wacky when Kim was drunk. I think Kim pulled him in. Against him? Kim pulled him in for a kiss, but
they didn't kiss. They didn't. Let me go back to it. Remember when she like nuzzled against his chest?
Maybe, but that's not really. I don't think he kissed her. But yeah, so Bella leans down, kisses Neyra's forehead, and she smushes her nose a bit. I didn't know she could do that. Oh my God. It's so sweet. And one of her hands was keeping the hair tucked behind her ear. One of them is on Neyra's head, just holding her as she leans down. And Neyra's completely out, like she is unconscious. And then Bella lifts her head back up to look at Neyra, and her hand lifts and she leaves. That's what heartbreak feels like.
Yeah, I'm wondering, it feels like she's like, saying goodbye, but how could she be saying goodbye if it's her own house?
Like what
does she need to come back?
Yeah. Bella, what are your sleeping arrangements? I personally think that she's gonna go sleep in Kieran's apartment because she just went through a breakup, and you stay with your besties when that happens, right?
But is she like expecting Darcy to just leave and like not like look for her? Like what's like she didn't even know something. Like she like what? I'm a little confused.
I don't know. Bella's not the best planner,
She's in her own house. She's just gonna wait for her to come
back. And we cut to Bella talking to Redcliff in a new office. Actually, this isn't his current one. Or maybe it's a just new location and new outfit. It's teal, which is opposite from Redcliff's red motifs. And she's yelling at him, "What more do you want from me? I've already given everything to you." And we can't see either of their heads in this one panel. Right. And then we cut to Bella's face.
And this is, by the way, this is presumably like, right after
that evening. Yeah, right after she left. Sometimes she says, "My life, my soul, my freedom, every last part of me, I gave it to you." And we don't see her eyes when she says, "I gave it to you." And then we see Redcliff looking very stoic and impassioned.
The narcissist. I think we hit on it. I think the narcissist is the good appellation for him.
And Bella is still yelling at him, and she says, "First you made me your assistant, and you made me handle your dirty work that only got dirtier and bloodier with time." And Bella is like counting on her hand. "I performed for you, stole for you, deceived for you, killed for you." And we see her entire like expression when she says killed for you. And I even learned to enjoy it because it was for you. And I did everything you asked me because I adored you. We see her put her hand to like her neck in this moment. And she's just completely in a state of distress.
Yeah, the dialogue is really good. You know, it's exactly what you would expect her to say in a moment like this.
Yeah, and the line where I feel like much of this is very much like self-explanatory, but there has been like a debate about, does Bella actually enjoy killing? And I guess like to an extent, yes. But here she admits that she had to learn to enjoy it.
You know what, my first thought really, I think it's a little consistent because she got that knife, she was so excited about it, and I mean, this is them telling us the contrary, but I really think it's a little bit inconsistent writing.
Really?
Like,
Because
not so
I
sure.
thought the knife was more like, you know, it was finally, I always saw the knife as Bella being given like a symbol of Bella's empowerment, you know, but still a connection to Redcliff. And so when he gives her the knife, it is essentially him empowering her. And
kill though.
as she says here, she adores Redcliff, you know. So she has gone to all of these extremes because she loved him, you know. Maybe probably not romantically, but you know, as a father, I guess.
Protector.
And so it has made her accept and even go along with and with all of these extremes. And I feel like the knife is just one of them. But the knife also has that, I guess, narrative symbolism of being like, or encapsulating Bella's relationship to Redcliff. Yeah, and it's pretty tragic because Bella's kind of been portrayed as this character who doesn't love, right?
Right.
And then we meet up with Neyra, but I do think that Bella genuinely loved Redcliff, like,
yeah,
again, like as a father, but it kind of goes to show like Bella would really do anything for love. She would do anything for the people she cares about. And in this case, even though Redcliff, I wish I could punt him into the sun, she did care a lot about Redcliff, and she was willing to do all of these things for Redcliff because of that adoration.
Right, because if he saved her, you know.
Yeah, and he also perpetrated that narrative that he was her savior.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure he milked it.
And Bella turns away and she closes her eyes and she says, I never asked for anything in return because I thought you'd already given me more than I could ever deserve in this lifetime.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah.
It's sad when she doesn't have this conception of herself as being deserving or worthy.
She definitely deals with self-esteem issues, and I think a lot of that is because she has always had to be in a sort of subservient role to Redcliff, right? He always holds that thing like, I saved you over her, right?
I think
literally
it's earlier. I think it's the fact that her mom seems not to have been present at all, right? So abandoned her, and her dad, you know, was nasty to her and rejected her. So I think it comes from her childhood.
Yeah, but I feel like also part, you know, not receiving the care and attention that she needed as a child, right? To that giving her low self-esteem, and then Redcliff coming in, taking her in, and then perpetrating her issues, right? As he is her savior, right? And so he develops this toxic relationship where she is reliant on him for validation because it's really validation that she needs that she didn't get from her family, and then here she gets it from Redcliff, but ultimately she's still kind of stuck doing stuff for Redcliff like she was for her father.
Yeah, I think that, you know, it's tricky because, like you said, he's giving her validation. I'm sure he gave her a lot of validation growing up because he's a manipulator, so he knows how to get people to get on his side. So on the one hand, yeah, like he's giving her what she wants or what she needs. Every person needs validation, but he's doing it so that ultimately she can be loyal to him in the way that he wants, meaning it's for selfish
Yeah.
reasons.
Yeah. And yeah, but I feel like, because when Bella says, like, I thought you'd given me more than I could ever deserve, more would essentially be this chance with the circus, right? This opportunity that comes with the circus. And so when she's referring to that, it's probably not because of her murders, right? Because she would have joined the circus before she started murdering people.
Probably.
And so that line just, yeah, I think coming from where she was, I don't know, I find it interesting that they use the word deserve instead of achieve, because if it was because I thought you'd already given me more than I could ever achieve in this lifetime, that would make sense from Bella coming from where she was as a child to doing all of these really great things. You know, she's become a very skilled dancer and performer. I feel like that would make sense, but we have the interesting use of deserve where Bella did not feel like she deserved anything. And I feel like that would have had to have been perpetuated by Redcliffe, because I'm not sure. Because her parents, like, I mean, her mother was absent, and then maybe, yeah, I forgot about what her father says in the 115 flashback.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
interesting. Yeah, sorry, I don't have enough complete thoughts
yeah, I
on
mean,
this.
I'm pretty sure this kind of thing is like, something that starts when you're a child.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm sure Redcliffe was manipulated and twisted.
Yeah, I just, in
too.
general, I think Bella came in a very, like, unstable state, and Redcliffe only perpetuated the issues so it would
Took advantage,
service him.
definitely, of her need.
Yeah. And Bella looks at him and she says, "Why did you make me abandon the one thing I ever wanted for myself?" And that's like a fair question. You know, she's lays out the argument, right? I've done everything you could have ever asked, right? You know, I loved you. I did increasingly extreme things for you. Why can I not have this one thing? Why can I not have this one person that I also love, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah, I'm glad that she's standing up for herself. It's good for her.
mhm.
That she's like feels herself to be worthy enough to push for herself and to advocate for herself.
And I find it like an interesting contrast, because she goes from, I never asked for anything in return because I thought you'd already given me more than I could ever deserve in this lifetime. But here she is, as you said, standing up for herself because she believes that she deserves this relationship with Neyra. And she does, right? And she is right in that she is worthy, and, you know, she, sorry, I'm trying to find the right words. She is worthy, and I guess, I mean, is deserving, as if we contrast that line of this relationship. You know, she's in love with Neyra. Neyra loves her back. This is something that makes her genuinely happy. That is something that everyone should have, right? And after years of sacrifice, whether it be for her old family, or now for the circus, right? Bella deserves to, she deserves to love people. She deserves to have these relationships that she has been deprived of, where validation or love is not conditional, and she can love someone regardless of where they come from, who they are, right? And Neyra, as we've seen in contrast to Redcliffe, is not someone who demands much from Neyra. She asks for answers when it pertains to their relationship, which she is in the, like, she is valid for asking Bella, but she also respects Bella's boundaries when Bella sets them, as she doesn't follow Bella in 130 or 9. She lets Bella be, and yet she still loves Bella. And even if Bella does not reciprocate, that love is still unconditional. Whereas, as we've seen with Redcliff over and over, he continues to push Bella down into a position that suits him and what he wants and what he needs.
Yeah, very clear contrast. He's a manipulator, narcissistic person. But what he says next is actually true, by the way. I think that was actually like very normal thing for him to say. He's using it against her, but like he's not wrong. At least according to
he says, stop with your lamentations, and then she is a noble-born girl rebelling against her family's wishes by having an affair with a circus artist. If she knew who you are, she would run away screaming. She would betray you and deliver you to the police. And I forgot what thought I had on this, but I just remembered it, so I'm going to see if I can find it. Give me a second. Okay, found it. I'm just going to read from what I wrote, because I wrote this down. So I'm not sure if I've mentioned it on the podcast, but I have thrown around the idea that maybe the 𝗪𝗆𝗄𝗃 relationship is one where both Neyra and Bella are in love with the idea of each other, right? Neyra is wealthy. She comes from wealth. You know, we don't really know much about her home life, but, you know, she has a grandma, at least, that she does adore. And from Bella, who was initially portrayed as someone who is money oriented, it does seem like an appealing prospect to Bella, right? To be in Neyra's position. Whereas Neyra, she wants to get away. Yeah, she wants to get away from all of this and, you know, literally run away to the circus. That's a very common like trope for saying. And to Neyra, Bella embodies sort of the freedom that she desires.
Also, it really could be an element of you. I mean, I had a very similar thing with myself, right? I chose someone that my family was like, oh, horrified by, at least at first. Now they love him. But, you know, there is an element of like the Yiddish thing, like 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗃, like poke you, which is like, I'm going to do the exact opposite of what you want because I want to, you know, just on purpose. Like, so I could see an element of Darcy's like, this is who my family would like be so horrified if I, you know, was together with, and it's like, well, I'm going to do that.
So what I wrote is, so we kind of discussed the idea that 𝗪𝗆𝗃 is a relationship where both Neyra and Bella are in love with the idea of each other. And I think that's what Redcliff tries to convince Bella of. Neyra is only in love with Bella, according to Redcliff, Neyra is only in love with Bella because she loves the ideal of her, using the idea of loving some circus performer to be some escapist fantasy from her own duties. Redcliff sees this love at surface level and tells Bella how quickly Neyra would turn on her. Neyra's devotion to Bella is not strong enough for Neyra to stay when she knows who Bella really is, again, according to Redcliff. If Neyra truly just loved the fantasy that Bella provided, that would probably be true. Once Bella was unable to properly fulfill that fantasy, aka reveal that she's actually a very wanted woman, and not just in a romantic sense, Neyra would most likely drop her. But
that was really funny.
But if Neyra has come to love the person that Bella has been to her, I would think otherwise. As we've seen with 𝗥𝗲𝗃, romance and morality are a bit twisted between them and in this comic. And Neyra has an understanding, albeit simplistic one, of Bella's relationship with Redcliff. And so I don't think it would be implausible that she would be completely turned away from Bella. Furthermore, it would be the most narratively fulfilling for Neyra to be the person who loves Bella unconditionally to prove Redcliff wrong. Neyra's compassion is the single greatest threat to all of the ideas and perceptions that Redcliff has ever fed Bella, because in the act of loving, Neyra disproves everything that Bella could have ever thought about herself.
That's very nice. Yeah, you know, you have me wondering now, like, what Redcliff is saying right now is like what a lot of people would say, right? On the surface level, like this is what a lot of people would observe about the situation. So I'm wondering if he really believes it, or if he's just saying it to manipulate her further and to put her down and to, you know, say, oh, no one's gonna love you. This is, you know, it's just me and you, right? Which is what he does basically. And like, I'm wondering how much of it is like his genuine thoughts, or like how much is just manipulation again.
I feel like it could be that this is what he genuinely thinks, because you've said, he's a narcissist. He doesn't really understand love in a sense.
Right.
But also, I feel like this could be him capitalizing off of Bella's greatest fear. Because
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if this is what she was afraid of.
Mhm.
We saw that blush when in the flashback of 130, where Bella just swooped in, saved the day, and saved Neyra, and she was already crushing on Bella. That is very much, something out of a fairy tale almost. And so it would make sense that initially, maybe Neyra was just genuinely enamored with this mysterious person who came out of nowhere to be a knight in shining armor. But I think that over time, and they had 3 years together, over time, that these two it probably started with Neyra liking Bella as just like a figure, as like a symbol, and then maybe they actually did come to care about each other genuinely.
Yeah.
Right, because Bella does not have the same sort of attachment to Neyra after that first encounter. So it's probably like they met up again at some point, ran into each other, and Bella's
Darcy
like, "Oh my
probably
God."
stalked her.
Yeah.
I'm set on it.
And
He's
so
like, well, Bella, fancy meeting you here at this bar, which I totally, know that you visit because I asked a million questions about you.
yeah, and Bella is probably still a little skeptical of Neyra, but Neyra is just like so excited, right, by this idea of this, mysterious vigilante who comes in and saves her in the middle of the night. And because of Bella's skepticism, she would probably only be attracted to Neyra if she actually started to genuinely care about her. But
right, I think she also shows Bella true love and like fresh face, and like she's more wholesome. And I think that appeals to Bella.
Yeah, but then I think, over time, as they both get closer, those feelings, at least on Neyra's side, do become more genuine. But because of this kind of like idolization that begins from their meeting on Neyra's side, I feel like this is a valid concern that Bella may have had, that, maybe Neyra really is just using her as an escape. And that could also be tied into when Bella uses the title princess, or the name princess, against Neyra in 89. It's the way she emphasizes it is very much like bitter, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's my current theory for them right now. And yeah, honestly, I think that what Redcliffe is saying right now is actually how Neyra would act? Not really. I've seen 𝗏𝗏. Lauren has enabled a lot. So I feel like Neyra, who is kind of becoming a bit of a parallel to Lauren, and how like the two of them are like come from, or the two of them have ties to like Docket and Tristan, right? They're both investigating Apostle 7. They're besties with Will, even though I think Neyra is the better bestie, I feel like if Lauren would enable Kieran's whole act without even knowing him for 3 years, then Neyra totally would. Especially since she's a spy. She's probably done a lot of questionable stuff.
I don't know. I don't think so. She's just spying, but
I don't know. Recording people's private conversations is a little questionable, even if it's for a good cause.
It's not the same level as killing, that's for sure.
Yeah. But I don't know. She just reminds me of Lauren a lot, and Kieran and Bella are foils, and so I could imagine Neyra even being more relaxed with Bella when she finds more about Bella, especially since she's investigating Apostle 7, or sorry, Redcliffe. And if she finds out those Apostle 7 connections, she will probably make those connections between Bella and the Phantom side. And it is also, I think, an idea she has probably considered herself, considering not many people are running around rooftops in the middle of the night in 𝗏𝗏𝗏 who aren't affiliated with some kind of organization.
Yeah.
So Redcliffe, now right in front of Bella. He caresses her jaw, I guess, and he looks at her and he says, "You are an assassin, an excellent one, and you are not made for emotions. The only one who can love you for who you are is me."
Such manipulation. Oh my God, so classic. Isolating her from other people, making her dependent on him. It's literally like the textbook.
And it's interesting how he says you are an assassin. He doesn't say you're a person, right? He sees her as this killing machine, right? She is this occupation to him. She is this service that he can rely on. And you are not made for emotions, right? This is another level in the dehumanization, because like humans are emotional creatures, right? And then we have Redcliffe being like, if this was in, Bella was born, you weren't born to have emotions, or maybe this is the assassin that he has crafted her to be, right? I didn't make you to be emotional.
Right. He doesn't want her to have emotions, because then she will stop working for him. I mean, it's purely transactional, all self-serving.
Yeah. And so he just emphasizes how like Neyra would turn her back on Bella if she really knew what Bella had done. And so it means that the only person who loves Bella and knows what she's done and can still accept her for it is him.
Yeah, for him.
And we just get this haunting panel of Bella wide-eyed.
She looks very hurt.
Yeah, and
like
his
devastated
hand on her.
And then she like, you see, she kind of is believing what he's saying. And it's
she's taking it to heart.
So sad.
And she's horrified. And Redcliffe tilts his head a bit, and he gives her a bit of a puppy dog-eyed look.
Such an actor. Oh my God.
His face is looking really punchable right now, I gotta say.
Oh dear.
And he pulls her in close and he hugs her. And Bella's still like wide-eyed. And he says,
like,
it's giving Mother Gothel.
Yes, oh my God, Mother Gothel, so manipulative.
And he says, "I'm only protecting you, Bella. She's dangerous for you, but you are safe with me." Mother Gothel.
Yes,
Mother
Gothel. That song is fantastic, amazing, so insightful.
Agreed. I love Tangled. It's my favorite Disney movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very reminiscent of I think the 𝗷𝗚𝗓𝗃 hug and also the 𝗏𝗏 embrace from 122, I think. Because we have this white background, right? And then Neyra is being hugged by somebody that she loves, right? In this case, I don't know if she loves Redcliffe anymore here, but someone she did love.
Sure, she has mixed feelings.
But I feel like this pose with like the hand on the head is more reminiscent of the 𝗏𝗏 hug from 122.
How dare you compare the two?
Look, it's supposed to parallels, okay?
No.
Parallels.
No,
Not really parallels, but contrast. Yeah. Because, in the 𝗏𝗏 hug and in the 𝗏𝗏 hug, it's Kieran holding Lauren because, he's trying to comfort her, right?
Because he's a nice guy and Redcliffe is not.
Yeah. And the 𝗷𝗚𝗓𝗃 hug is Neyra trying to show Bella that she still cares for Bella, even if Bella can't give her all the answers that she wants, right? And this hug is Redcliffe trying to reaffirm how he loves Bella, and he's trying to convince her that he loves her.
And that he can't be with anyone else. Only him. But
there is no comfort. It's
hurting her.
Yeah.
Emotionally hurting her. Well,
his expression is very like serene and comforting, but then right below him in full juxtaposition is Bella's, and she just looks so concerned and scared, and her body language is very stiff, right? With her shoulders kind of up. Oh, hello. And Redcliffe plants a kiss on Neyra's forehead, and Neyra, his eyes are closed, but did I say Neyra? I meant Bella. And Bella, her eyes are open and she's still just terrified. And Redcliffe still has his hand on her face.
I think at this moment, I think that she opens her eyes wider than before. I think it's because she's realizing, oh my gosh, like this is getting lecherous. Like this could get into the like sexual abuse kind of thing, realm. And I think that's why she is like shook and pushes him away. Because he's like gone a step too far.
I thought it was more like kind of like still Mother Gothel. I don't know.
Yeah.
I keep seeing people say that like Redcliffe has all these like undertones, sexual undertones. And
Yeah.
I kind of see it,
Mhm.
but also I'm trying to be like, maybe we don't have to do this with, I don't know, it makes sense, but also like I do like keeping it toxic dad
Hmm.
and depressed daughter.
Yeah,
That's
I think it's
the
only
vibes.
I don't think it's a massive part of it. I think it's a tiny tinge. Like
Yeah, it's like little hints of it that kind of just cue the audience into it. But this moment is very interesting because we just had Bella kissing Neyra, and it was her expressing, love for Neyra, her expressing herself, right? And how she loves Neyra. And then we get this scene where it is not Redcliffe genuinely loving Bella, but it's him trying to convince her that he loves her.
Mhm.
And he's trying to keep her in under his control, right?
Mhm.
And so what has gone for Bella, what has gone from this action of like appreciation, of love, of genuine care, has been turned and used as a weapon against her, right? And of expression too, because she was expressing herself when she kissed Neyra. She was allowing herself to be open with her feelings, and to accept those feelings. And now we see this forehead kiss being used to prevent that expression.
Yeah.
And to,
Yeah, it's very ironic.
yeah, that's good contrast.
Good. Yeah. Good job. That was a good observation.
And we see her push him away, and he crashes to the floor.
Good for
Good
him.
for her.
I'm glad he looks
Good
so
for him.
awkward.
Good
I mean,
for
good for her. Yeah, it's good for him that he's like being crashed to the floor and like deserves it. And good for her.
Yeah, and now we see Bella standing above him. Good for her. Good for her. And she turns his back on him and walks out of there, and her face is still horrified. And then we cut back to Bella walking, maybe running down the hallway. And she thinks to herself, why must you make it even more difficult than it already is, Neyra? Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. I think that this whole incident is like the beginning of a turning point for Bella. And I think that this will prompt her to finally recognize Redcliffe for what he is and go against him and, forge her own path. Like you were speculating, help the, 𝗏𝗏 or whatever. But I definitely think this is like the turning point for her. Just getting there.
I don't think, Mindy, you understand how badly I need a Kieran and Bella team up, where Kieran is just teasing her the entire time about having a girlfriend. I need it.
Yeah, well, you've definitely talked about it, Fwoot.
Yes, it would completely, but it's like feral. This need is feral.
Well, I think it's heading in some direction like that. I don't know exactly how it's going to pan out, but Bella's going to snap.
Please, 𝗀𝗏. I would do anything.
Sell your firstborn, sell your things. Yeah.
I would sell this Howl's Moving Castle print I got that I adore, just for a crumb of Bella and Kieran together. Yeah. Okay. Overall thoughts, Mindy. What do you think?
I thought it was very psychologically astute. I thought that everything rang very true. Like it felt very real to the manipulative, narcissistic, dysfunctional like relationship. I thought it was really, really very spot on emotionally.
Yeah. The betrayal of like Bella and Redcliffe's relationship it's very like we've seen it build in intensity and the tension, and I wouldn't say that this is like the peak of it, but it's definitely like a lot that that sort of like answers a lot of questions that people have been speculating about for like over the last maybe last year and a half.
Yeah.
And as you said, yeah, it feels very true to the characters, and I feel like that's also represented in how like a lot of people were thinking that this was probably the case, and now we have the confirmation. This is the case. Also, I still stand by that one sunset scene. Maybe my new favorite moment in Purple Hyacinth. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
I wish I could like burn it into my retinas.
Print it out, put it on your wall. Yeah, it's really nice.
So, more 𝗪𝗆𝗱 prints, please. I would literally cut my arm off.
I would ask like what's your favorite panel, but like I'm pretty sure this is your favorite panel. You've already said that.
Yeah. I think my favorite the one where Bella's looking at Neyra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very sweet. I think my favorite panel is Redcliff crashing to the floor.
Oh, that's so true. You were so real for that.
Yep. I would say, we typically guess what's going on happen in the next episode, but we already know because we're recording it afterwards.
Yeah. I'm very excited to see where this goes, and
Bella's new path.
I do hope that we don't have to wait 8 episodes again, because I need to know now what happens.
I think we will. I think we're gonna switch.
Yeah.
Go back and forth between the characters. So we have the dramatic moment, then we go to like the quiet moments with the other characters, and then they have their own dramatic moment, then we switch here.
Yeah, this episode like really ramped up Bella's conflict with Redcliff, and we kind of knew it was coming, but coming from 130 where it's still like Bella refuses to do anything, right? To whoa, Bella has actually done a lot in the past, like I was not expecting that flashback of her standing up to him, but good for her. And it's really interesting how she had this moment where she like turned her back on him, but here she is again with him. So like what happened? Right? There's so many questions.
She wasn't ready yet. It takes a while to get extract yourself and something really strong.
Yeah, more questions with Neyra. What's her deal with 𝗪𝗲𝗻? Is this like, do Neyra and Bella parallel each other? Like, is 𝗪𝗲𝗻 Neyra's Redcliff? Potentially, maybe. I don't know. These two are very much also foils to each other. Like they are the opposites of each other. So could be
right. Definitely something deeper there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this was fun. Fun. It was good. We use the word fun too often when we don't really need fun.
Good episode.
Yeah.
We probably use good more.
Yeah. It was hard hitting.
It was a very intense episode.
Yeah. Well, thanks. And glad that this exists. Glad you came on. It was awesome.
So thank you for having me.
Yeah. I will see you in the next 𝗪𝗆𝗪𝗆 episode.
You too. I'll see you then. Bye.
Thank you to my current patrons: Susie, Lady Libress, Lily, Molly, Veronica, Emily, Jo Rochelle, Saucy Toggles, Anna Rose, Alexa, Misty, Joanne, Imelda, Esther, Watching You People, Emily, Jean, Jen, Kay, Lily, Beckett, Christine, Sadie, Teresa, Mrs. Castaldo, Nini, and 𝗪𝗵𝗆𝗆. Your support is truly appreciated.